with the main Chip Washington. It's real talk. Man, it's real talk with your main Chip Washington. When it comes to information, the main got an arsenal. Bring you up to speed with what you need. He's the local and nationwide news feed. Let's talk about it. Dialect to do something about it. Chip got the flow wide open if you got questions about it. Man, it's the show that brings you to your raw. To solve all problems, it starts with real talk. It's 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 real talk. Yeah. Welcome to Real Talk with your host, Chip Washington. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
And welcome to the wonderfully crafted radio program called Real Talk on this Monday evening, 91.7 WYXR. Your humble host, Chip Washington, with you, along with Adam and Marquette, my dynamic duo, associate producing this evening. Very glad to have you with us wherever it is you are listening. You know, I don't know how big a base I have or smaller base I have, but wherever it is you are, and if you are checking us out, I deeply appreciate it, and I thank you very, very much for that. We are on each and every Monday evening on this fine radio station, WYXR, your crosstown radio station, from 6 to 7 p.m. Central. If you are in the Memphis and Shelby County area, you can hear us live on the box, on the radio. If you are out of the county or out of the state, you can catch us on the TuneIn app, TUNEIN app, and go to, the search WYXR, put that in the search box and hit play, and you should hear us crystal clearly wherever it is in this country you are. I hope everybody had a good week since the last time we were able to chit-chat on last Monday. This storm that happened this afternoon, how many of you got caught out in that this afternoon, about 4 o'clock or so? My goodness gracious. I mean, I was at work, I was in my office, and the thunder was roaring so heavy out there. I mean, to tell you, boy, it shook the building. And when I looked outside, I mean, the rain was coming down sideways. The wind was blowing hard, the whole 9 yards. I pray that there weren't any bad accidents or mishaps on the road, and that wherever you were, if you were out, you got to where you needed to get to safely. Coming to the station tonight, it was beautiful. When I walked in from the parking lot, the moon is shining bright. I didn't see a cloud in the sky, so whatever it was short-lived, and it moved on. I heard there was hail somewhere out here. I don't know if it was in the city limits or the county limits. I heard there might have been some down in Mississippi a bit earlier today as well. So anyway, that's past us, and we've moved on to bigger and better things. Hopefully we will, I think we have a good show tonight. But I always think we have a good show, but it also always depends on what you think in terms of whether or not we actually have a good show tonight. But I think we have a good show tonight. As I always do, want to acknowledge any birthdays, anniversaries, or special events or occasions. If you are in any one of those categories, congratulations to you. Many happy more and all that good stuff. You know what folks say when they congratulate you when it's a birthday or an anniversary or you got a job promotion or some other special occasion in your world, in your life. A lot of birthdays today out there in the Memphis and Shelby County area, so happy birthday to each and every one of you. This was one of those weekends where we lost some rather big names. Now, before I talk about the big names, I want to talk about the names that don't get into the headlines. We've been losing people by the hundreds and the thousands every day in this country due to COVID-19. Vaccination or not, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But folks are still leaving here. And before I came on, we were close to 420,000 of our brothers and sisters who have died from COVID. And we are not done with it yet. There are anywhere from 2,000 to 4,000 people leaving here a day, dying every day of this virus. And, as I said, the vaccines are out. But if you've been paying attention to the news, the rollout has not been really successful. Not as many shots in arms as was promised. Vaccine supplies are limited, not only here but across the country. But again, things are starting to move, particularly here in Shelby County. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let me get back to some of the notable deaths. But every death is a hard death. Everybody that leaves us and becomes our angel, they're not here anymore, and we mourn the loss of all of our brothers and sisters and those that we hold near and dear. But I think we lost Hank Aaron. I think on Saturday, I want to say, the home run king. Now he's actually second, but he broke the home run record of Babe Ruth, and he'll always be the man to me. But he died over the weekend. I believe he was 86 years old. The man who almost invented talk, Larry King. Larry King died on Sunday at the age of 87. Of course, he was on CNN for 25 years, the undisputed king of talk radio. Nobody knew how to do it quite like Larry King knew how to do it. Some 50,000 interviews he conducted in his illustrious career. But he left us here, 87 years old, but with a lot of memories and a lot of great thoughts and a lot of great shows and a lot of great interviews. Whenever it is I decide not to do this anymore, or somebody decides for me that I'm not to do this anymore, I hope to have had a roster of interviews that I've done that folks, may remember down the road. That's a very nice legacy to leave. People don't realize I started this show in 2019. It's 2021. I've interviewed a lot of people in that period of time. I really have. To the extent that I am having a hard time remembering a lot of the folks that I have interviewed. But there's a couple of them on the show tonight that I have interviewed in the past as well. I will tell you about those folks in a minute. I talked about the vaccines a few minutes ago, and the Shelby County Health Department has announced locations for the second dose. If you took the first dose of the Moderna vaccine a few weeks ago, you can start to, make your plans, make your calls, get online, make your appointments for the second shot, your second dose of the Moderna vaccine, and that will start on Wednesday. Now, the first dose, if you received your first dose between December 28th and January 3rd, okay, you will be able to like I said, make appointments in specific time frames. You can either call the COVID-19 vaccine hotline at 901-222-SHOT. It is open from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., 7 days a week. The health department is asking residents to bring their vaccination card if you received one on your first appointment with them. Now, January 27th, which is Wednesday through the 29th, you can get your shots at the Appling Emission Station on Appling City Cove. You can go to online to signupgenius.com to make your appointments. Now, on February 2nd through the 6th, you can go to the Pipkin Building, 940 Early Maxwell Road, over by the college, over by the football stadium over there. Mid-South Coliseum area. You can, again, go to Sign Up Genius to make, an appointment. So, again, things are starting to get cranked up a little bit. Second doses. There'll also be some first doses, available as well. So, again, stay current, stay active. Go to Shelby.community, go to the Shelby County Health Department website, go to the Sign Up Genius, make your phone calls at 222-SHOT, and hopefully you'll be able to get through. You make an appointment, and you move forward. Now, let me just say this. For those who are eligible, age-wise, and I think they're doing groups 1A1 and 1A2, but there's a lot of folks that fall within those windows, and they're even doing 75 and up, age bracket, age range. If you have an opportunity and you can get through and you can make an appointment, I would urge you to get a vaccine shot. I mean, that's what it's for. And, if we ever want to see a day again when we can resume relative normalcy, it would behoove you to get your family member, to whatever location it is that they can go to, whether it is the Apley emission station, the Pipkin building, or the Germantown Baptist Church. That is I was struggling there for a minute. Germantown Baptist Church from February 2nd to February 6th, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And they are located at 9450 Poplar Avenue. You can also follow the instructions, call it 222-SHOT. Again, if you have a chance to make an appointment for your loved ones, for your mom, for your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, or yourself, please go and do that. You don't have anything to lose but a little time. But, if you can get a shot, then you're protecting yourself from a potentially deadly virus. And that, I think, is what a lot of us need to focus on. And I am encouraging my black and brown brothers and sisters to get out and get vaccinated as well. Okay, they're going to expand the location area that people can get people will be able to get vaccinations in specific areas of town. That is coming. I know that they are working a plan where they're going to expand the testing or the shot site areas for people that live in certain parts of town to make it more convenient for you. So again, stay current, stay up, pay attention to the news, pay attention to the websites. And, the media is doing a pretty good job of keeping people informed as well. So, by the way, the Super Bowl is set for you folks who like the Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs, Tampa Bay Bucks will be playing in 2 weeks. Who you got? Will Kansas City repeat this year, or will Tom Terrific take his Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who, by the way, are playing the game at their home stadium in Tampa, Florida, lead them to victory? So we'll see. Could be a good game. Should be a good game. My guests tonight are some really phenomenal ladies. It's ladies' night on the Real Talk Radio show hosted by me. My first guest will be Miska Clay Bibbs. She is the chairwoman of the Shelby County School Board. We have a lot to talk about. There's a possibility of school going back to school in the second semester of Shelby County schools, but there's also the governor of the state, which is trying to forward a bill that is going to make the school district go back for 70 days this semester. And if they don't, they might be in trouble or danger of losing their funding. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. Also, tonight we'll speak with Dorcas Griffin. Dorcas is the director, the Division of Community Services for Shelby County. We've heard a lot of talk about evictions. I know that since we have a new president, he has extended that. We will talk to Dorcas about that process and about some programs that you as citizens, may not really know about, maybe some financial options for you as well. So we'll talk to Dorcas about that. And we will talk to Dr. Renee Wilson Simmons. She is the executive director of the ACE Awareness Foundation, and basically they run some organizations here in town that really help in terms of the parents and how parents take care of their children during tough emotional times, kind of like the pandemic that we're dealing with. Well, there are 4 facilities that they oversee that are in danger of closing unless they get a new administrator. So we'll talk to her about that. So pretty good show. We'll take our first break. And when we come back, we will get things started, crank this show up. This is Real Talk. I'm Chip. You know who you are. Come right back, okay? We have a good show tonight.
You're listening to Real Talk with Chip Washington. If you're celebrating a birthday, anniversary, or special occasion, shoot him a note and he'll read it on the air. Get involved and tell somebody about Real Talk. We'll be right back.
It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk. It's real talk.
Hi, this is the Big O, Otis Redding. I was just standing here thinking about you. Thought I'd write a song about you and dedicate it to you. Take a listen. If you didn't go back to school this year, you're really not groovy. Maybe you feel that school is a drag, it just don't move you. But did you ever think about how square you look standing in an employment line because school didn't interest you? You really hard to think about it. Without an education, you could only be a tramp. Brogan shoes, no haircut, just plain old country. Don't worry about the fellas on the corner calling you green because you're betting your future condition. You're really hard to think about it. And furthermore, tell them that Otis Redding say you're very wise because you'll be at the top when they get there. And if they make it, when they get there, if they make it, when they get there, if they make it, you really ought to think about it. Think about it, really ought to think about it.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk, ladies and gentlemen. On this Monday evening, I am your host, Chip Washington. Very happy to have you with us on tonight. And I am very happy to have my first guest of this evening. She is, I'll say she's not a stranger to this show because she's been on with me before, but she's back tonight, graciously giving up a few minutes of her time. She is Miska Clay Bibbs. She is the chair of the Shelby County School Board. Miska, are you there?
I am here.
Well,
thanks, Chip, for having me.
Well, listen, no, thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us. We have a couple of important topics to discuss tonight. And, of course, one of them is where are we with a possible return to the classroom after the first semester, I guess is what, the early part of February. Am I correct?
That is correct. Honestly, as we have stated probably since the beginning, is we are trying to follow the numbers, and really that was our call and our plea to just Shelby County as a whole around, wearing masks, following the mandates, kind of staying safer at home and doing those things in order for the numbers to go down. Mm-hmm. And as you know, that really has not been the case. So, that makes it very difficult around the decision of going back into the building. We have given parents opportunity on 2 occasions to fill out surveys regarding this. The first survey was overwhelmingly 80% of parents said no, and then the second time it was about 72% of parents said no. So the sentiment is still there for families to remain virtual based on the fact that our COVID numbers haven't gone down.
So, and I'm also to understand that in terms of doing a quick poll of the teachers, a great majority of the teachers said that they were not going to return back to the classroom. Am I correct about that?
Absolutely. I think that number was between 70 and 80%. I don't, if off the top of my head. So that definitely is an overwhelming majority of teachers stating that they were did not want to go in buildings, and really that's around being safe because. One of the things, in Shelby County, it is the fact that we have multi-generational homes. Right. We have families, around who have some pre-existing conditions and just access to quality health care.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there with what you just said. And as a parent of children who have gone through the system, I think you just had one graduate from high school last year, if I remember correctly. I mean, are you comfortable with that decision as well, just from the parental side of things?
From the parental side, because I do live and have a multi-generational home, no, I think that's the first thing that I, often think about. And then let's be honest, when you look at even the quarantine protocol for what it looks like to quarantine, most of our communities are not set up in a way in order for that to even be possible for families, So let's be honest around I really, what COVID has done is really unveil just Shelby County overall, its social economic infrastructure. And I personally believe that needs to be addressed more so as, than anything. And it doesn't have to be an either or. This should be a conversation that's happening simultaneously. So, the municipal districts can do, say that they're going in and then something happen and do a breakout. And they can be off for a couple of weeks because you know why? They can quarantine at home because most of them are living in homes in which the capabilities are there. Or they can also afford to pay for quarantine away from their family members. So there's so much more that goes into this.
A lot of different factors. Speaking with Miska Clay Bibbs, she is the chairwoman of the Shelby County School Boards. Now, let me, and this is just very odd to me, but maybe you can explain it from the inside. The governor of the state of Tennessee has mandated and trying to run a bill through the legislature for two school districts in particular, Davidson County, Nashville, Shelby County, Memphis, basically saying that you need to return children back to the classroom, teachers back to the classroom for 70 days this school year or face possible losing of funding. Please explain that to me because I think that's one of the dumbest things I think I've ever heard, but that's just me.
I mean, Chef, I would ask you the same thing. Please explain that to me because just in making that statement, it sounds definitely out of touch around understanding who we are in Shelby County and also, to our, fellow counterparts in Nashville. I think the reality of it is I kind of think of it similar to the voucher bill where they tried to only say it was for Memphis and Nashville. Well, that was ruled unconstitutional.
Yes, it was.
So here we go down that same line of thinking. It doesn't make any sense. And also for me, it's unfortunate that because we are going through a pandemic and because we're dealing with a situation where we're trying to keep families safe. Yeah. It doesn't seem like that's the best move if you're saying that you're trying to make sure your constituents are okay in order to be able to pay those tax bills. I'm putting it down to the dollars and cents of it as a governor, if that's, because that's what governors tend to think about is the dollars of it. But realistically speaking, if you're saying that you're from the human aspect of it, are you really talking about what's best for the state in which you say that you care about?
That to me is really the question. I mean, I think that the local municipalities, ours, and the folks in Davidson County have a great responsibility. And I mean, it's a multifaceted responsibility because you're not only talking about the health and well-being and safety of our teachers, our staff, and our students, but you basically brought up a very good point earlier, the socioeconomics. You add that on top of the pile, and you really have a really difficult situation. But for me, I mean, how concerned are you that they will ram? Because I know that every local legislator in this city is vehemently against it and have let him know. But I mean, how concerned are you that something like this might happen? And if it happens, Miska, this is going to have to be a quick turnaround, really quick.
I think of this two parts. I'm just concerned with anything that comes out of Nashville when you're talking about from policymakers that concerns Memphis only, because at that point it does feel targeted. And, but I'll say this, Shelby's no stranger to that. We're fighters. And, I'm thankful that I serve with the colleagues that I serve with. I'm thankful that we have the superintendent that we have because we fight for our families. So our thought about it is we're going to make sure we do as much as we can do in order to fight for our families from that aspect of it. So, but the other thing about it is, yes, it is a quick turnaround. But let me be clear, we've always had a safe plan, which is really our plan about what it means to go back in buildings. So it's not like if something happens, we're not able to do the turnaround for it because we have a plan. But it's more so around like we want to do what's best for our teachers and our kids. Now, sometimes when you fight, it's no different than vouchers. That wasn't an immediate return, but we were real clear on it wasn't going to happen. Right.
Well, in thinking about it, and I know Dr. Ray did a video last week that basically said, "Please don't hurt my children." And yes, it was an impassioned plea to the State House to say, "Look, I don't know who thought this idea through, but it wasn't really well thought of." And our first job, as you have eloquently stated, is to protect our faculty, staff, and our students. And this move seems pretty impulsive and having, in my mind, a lot to do with the budget and finances of the state of Tennessee, which really doesn't leave much room for really caring about the students, faculty, and staff.
Correct. Now, we do anticipate it's going to come back up in regular session, but that's when we as a board advocate to our legislators. And when we advocate, we're not just talking to the Shelby delegation. We have to advocate across state. And, there have been some people who reached out around community members about how can they help. It's been more so around the session starts February 8th. That's when we need people to go into action as far as advocating. Mm-hmm. And I want, yes, they can advocate to the Shelby delegation, but the Shelby delegation, they have our back. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to ever say that they don't have our back. But it's more so around us understanding we have to advocate across the state. Because a lot of times those people who are sitting in making the decisions, we have to keep in mind, they don't know what's happening in Shelby County.
Exactly.
So in their minds, they're not thinking about it from the same context that we are. So, that's the work that we do as a board. And it's also when we ask for advocacy assistance, that means across the state.
So you're basically saying that, hey, look, Shelby County, let's all get ready. Let's all back us up, back each other up, and let folks in Nashville know how we feel about this particular issue.
Correct. And you will be hearing a little bit more from the board around that. And I know there's, of course, Dr. Ray's video was a great starter and a great catalyst for people to have it front of mind. But we definitely know starting February 8th when session starts that there's more work to do.
Miska Clay Bibbs, thank you so much, Miska, for taking some time to talk to us tonight. I've been looking forward to this conversation, and we will be keeping a very close eye on what happens here locally, because I think it'll have a very direct effect on what happens statewide. So thank you so much for taking some time. And look, you and your family stay up and stay safe and stay well. And if you don't mind, I'll be checking back with you as time moves on to see how things go.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you. So that was Miska Clay Bibbs. I'm having a hard time talking tonight. Miska Clay Bibbs. She is the chairman of the Shelby County School Board. And yeah, this whole thing about going back to school here locally for both the parents and for the teachers and the staff is not this year, but we will keep a very close ear and eye on what happens in terms of what Governor Lee is proposing. Another quick break, and when we come back, we will roll along. We're going to talk about eviction and a few other topics with my next guest, Dorcas Griffin. She's the director of the Division of Community Services. This is Real Talk. I'm Chip. We will be right back.
If you like Real Talk, here's a way you can get involved. Do you have a show topic idea or suggestion? Want to be considered a guest or have a guest idea? Then send Chip a message on his Real Talk show page and you can be a part of the Real Talk experience. So as he always says, go out and tell somebody. We'll be right back.
B.B. King talks about hard drugs.
I believe that the younger ones are subsiding in that now. They are not, I think they're finding out that it's really no good and we're losing too many people. I think I can understand why a lot of the people have gone into drugs, because so many times I've been so frustrated because I couldn't get things to work like I want them to. And this sometimes can really mess up your mind. If a guy is not using his mind and don't try to be really strong, you could really go into anything. It's just like they used to say about alcohol, and this I do know, that whatever problem you had when you got drunk, when you get through, you got two, because you got a hangover plus that other problem is still there. And that's the same thing I think about hard drugs. So I say, it's no good. No good.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk on this Monday evening. Chip here as we continue to roll along with this fine piece of radio broadcasting. Now, on the serious side, COVID-19 has affected every aspect of our lives in every imaginable way. One of the biggest ways, of course, is the economic side of things. Job loss, folks, struggling, trying to figure out how to pay bills, how to keep roofs over their head, how to keep food on the table and take care of their families. The topic of eviction has been a big topic for the last few months. We do have a new presidential administration that has made a little news in that regard. But to talk more about that, my guest is Dorcas Griffin. She is the director of the Division of Community Services for Shelby County. Dorcas, thanks for being on the show. I really appreciate you.
Absolutely. Good evening, Chip. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Like everyone, just continuing to adjust to our life, the new normal.
Absolutely.
And just really working and praying to get to a better normal sooner than later.
You got that right. And Happy New Year to you, by the way.
Happy New Year to you as well.
Okay, so let's get into it. The eviction issue, and I hear you on our calls, and you've been working very hard, really to try to help folks, make ends meet, especially with these evictions. And if I'm not mistaken, when the new administration took office, did they not extend the eviction moratorium? And can you kind of run a little bit down for us about what that's all about?
Absolutely. So, yes. So last year, through the CARES Act and some of the work that was done in the former administration, evictions actually, there was a moratorium, a federal moratorium put in place to prevent folks from being evicted if they could show proof that they had been impacted by COVID and they made arrangements, or at least tried to find help to be able to pay their rent.
Okay.
The CDC, if you signed a letter that was on their website, you gave it to your landlord, you could not be evicted for failure to pay rent. So that was to end on December 30th. Through the second COVID Stimulus Relief Act that was passed right before the New Year, that moratorium was actually extended until March 31st. And so we are happy that this new administration has really pushed for that as well.
Right.
And that we do have more time for folks to be able to hopefully get on their feet, because we know that it has been a really difficult time. I do want to say, just for the listeners that are out there, to clarify a moratorium only means a halt in payment. It does not mean that those payments and any debts that are owed go away.
Okay.
And so it is really important, while we are very thrilled that we have more time through this moratorium to try to help folks, it is important that people who are in need reach out and try to find resources to help them during this time, because come March 31st, everything that you haven't paid still is going to be owed to landlords.
Speaking with Dorcas Griffin, she is the director of the Division of Community Services for Shelby County. Okay, having said what you just said, and basically that doesn't mean that it wipes the debt away. It means that it's just you may not have to pay now, but you will have to pay eventually. What does this allow you to do? This moratorium until the end of March, not only for the citizens, but in your office, what does this allow you to do to be able to help some of these folks out here?
Well, one thing, I am thankful that there has not just been a moratorium, but there has also been an influx of resources that have come into the community and across the nation to help folks with rent and utility assistance.
Well, that's excellent.
Both the city and county have received awards from the Treasury within the last couple of days. It's very, very new. We are probably looking at a combined total of about $27 million that will be available in the community to help folks with rent and utilities and housing related support.
Oh, wow.
And this money is in addition to some of the funding that we already had in place through some of our normal course of programming.
Right.
And so when you combine all of that money, you are looking at least about $35 million that's here and available to try to help people. So we're excited. We're working together, all of the different funding organizations that have federal funding around rent. We have actually been working together in the last couple of days trying to pull together some ways that we can make applying to any of these programs a very seamless process for our citizens. We know that there are lots of different avenues to go through to get help. And so we see an opportunity with this big influx of money to really coordinate better all of these different funding streams and just make it a little less confusing and cumbersome for our residents. more information will be coming out about the program in the next couple of weeks as we quickly try to stand all of the programming up.
That is Dorcas. That is huge news. What you just said right there in terms of not only the partnerships, internally, but with the federal government as well, and all of that money that you're talking about that can go into helping so many in need. That's a really big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal, and we recognize that for so many people, this is going to be life-saving, right?
Yes.
People need the ability to just get on their feet so that they can even begin to start to figure out what's next. And so we are very hopeful that as all of this is rolled out, that more and more people will be able to get stabilized. I'm excited to see what will happen at the end of this. We do have until December 31st to expend any monies that are given through this second stimulus.
Yeah.
We anticipate, and we've been told by the federal government that, if there is money that's not used across the nation, they'll do a reallocation process probably near August or September. And so we will stand ready. We are going to work to serve as many people as we can and to get as many dollars as we possibly can into this community to help folks.
Well, it sounds like, as the president says, help is on the way, and based on what you just said, I truly believe that help is on the way. Dorcas, I love having you on the show because every time I do, there's always a grain, a nugget of information, valuable information that you provide to. I'm being serious, to the people out here. But what you said tonight is really big. So folks need to be paying attention, as you said, for the next couple, 3 weeks, the next few weeks.
Yeah,
there'll be information coming out that they can follow up with, right?
Absolutely, and I promise you and your listeners, Chip, you will be among the first that will have all information that you can share with listeners. We are hopeful to unveil an online application system in the next couple of weeks. I would tell you, be patient. We want to make sure that we do this right. Yeah. And so, anybody that's run a program knows that it usually takes you 6-7 months. We don't have that time, but we do want to be thoughtful in how we roll this out. I would also like to tell folks, we're talking about this new influx of money that's coming in the community, but there are programs that still are stood up to help people right now.
You're right.
The Community Services Agency, which is a part of my division, as a part of their normal course of work, they help people with rent and mortgage assistance and utility assistance. If there are any listeners out there, I encourage you to go to the Shelby County tn.gov website, and you can click to find Community Services Agency, the online application, phone numbers, all of that is there. And you can also call 222-4200 for more information.
I tell you what, thank you so much for all you do for the community and for sharing some of that news tonight. We'll be keeping a close eye on things as the rollout moves along, and you have more information to share with the public. Dorcas, thank you so much for checking in with us tonight. I really appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay?
Absolutely. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Thank you. Well, that was quite revealing, and I hope that if you are here listening and you do need some help in reference to economic assistance, living assistance, and things like that, you call the county, call the Division of Community Services. They can help you, and there's some big things coming down the road. Money to help take care of our needs. One final break, one final guest on this not final show for this evening. We're still here till 7 o'clock. I'm Chip. This is Real Talk. One final break. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Real Talk with Chip Washington. If you're celebrating a birthday, anniversary, or special occasion, shoot him a note and he'll read it on the air. Get involved and tell somebody about Real Talk. We'll be right back.
It's Real Talk.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Sam.
I don't think Jim would mind if we just talk about a little school dropping out.
Education.
Yeah. I was reading a paragraph the other day that said a little bit of learning can be dangerous. And because today's job market, the smaller your education, the smaller your chances for success.
True.
So I would like to tell our friends, don't be a dropout. Drop out of school today. You have less education than most machines. That's just a little figure of speech there, but really it's a true thing. It doesn't sell the dull, dirty, or the low-paying jobs,
Right.
But if we stay in school and try to get that education, the kids now they really do want to stay in school now, And the ones that don't want to stay in school, watching the ones that are going to school, they really want to get on in there because it's so much happening. Look, you're getting your studies, you're getting a chance to play with sports. It's so many beautiful things in school that you can do, So, girls and boys, this is Sam.
And I'm Dave.
And we would like to say to you, don't be a dropout. Stay in school.
Get Real Talk on the TuneIn mobile app under WYXR, and he's now streaming live on Facebook. And you can also catch a rebroadcast on YouTube. Just put WYXR in the search box and hit subscribe. Now back to more Real Talk with Chip Washington.
And welcome back to Real Talk. Chip Washington here on this Monday evening, and we've had a really good show for you this evening, and I hope that you have had a chance to listen to what we have been doing so far. Right now, we're going to talk about an organization. It's called the Universal Parenting Places, and if you've not heard of it, it provides no-cost therapy and counseling for parents who may be experiencing challenges with their children. Now, they have 4 locations here in the city, but right now they are in danger of actually closing their doors if they can't find an administrator. So to join me now to talk a little bit about this is the ACE Awareness Foundation Executive Director. Her name is Dr. Renee Wilson Simmons. Dr. Simmons, glad to have you on the show.
Well, I am so pleased to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Well, listen, I was told about this a week or so ago, and I thought it was very interesting. But if you wouldn't mind laying out for our listening audience exactly what Universal Parenting Places is about and what they do.
Oh, sure, and I would love to. So the Universal Parenting Places, and we call them UPPs for short, are there, as you correctly stated, there were 4, and the first ones were established in 2015, and now it went to 4 that were really helping parents, grandparents, other family members who take care of children in the home, helping them by providing counseling with a licensed therapist, support groups for parents, activities that provide parent-child bonding, everything from family drumming to baby and me yoga to nutrition classes. What's really the focus on helping parents be the best parents they can be and helping them work through the kinds of struggles that sort of are barriers to their success and the success of their families.
Wow. Yeah, that's a pretty comprehensive program. And so now you're faced with possible closure because of needing an administrator. Talk us through that process and kind of where you're at and what you need and what you're hoping to get.
Sure. So there were 4, one at Baptist Memorial Hospital for Women, one at Knowledge Quest, one at Christ Community Health Services in Fraser,
yes, ma'am,
and one at Perea School. And so we are, when I say we, the foundation receives funding from an anonymous donor, and then we in turn provide funding to each of those sites, the operators in those sites. But the donor made a decision not to continue with the funding, and so we could not provide funding to the UPPs. So as of December, the UPP at Baptist closed, and the one at Perea is closing this month. The two that are left at Knowledge Quest and at Christ Community Health Services, their health services clinic, they will continue to operate, but not under the name of Universal Parenting Place. So we have found, and I shouldn't say found, we have the potential of anonymous donors, two of them, who really value the work that has gone into this and the work that should continue. So they are willing to fund for 1 year an operator who, and by operator, an organization, an agency that could take the reins and continue by operating a universal parenting place, and to plan for sustainability of it, to have the potential to continue the work and expand into more sites. So that's what we're looking at now, and we put out a request for qualifications from organizations or agencies that believe they have the space, and the capacity to continue this work. So that request went out a couple of weeks ago, and today is actually the deadline for submitting a application to be considered, to be interviewed, to go through a process to determine if this is an organization that could in fact continue the work.
Sure. So will the donors that you have, and you said you had two of them, will they fund the two existing facilities, or will there be opportunity to reopen the other two, or how would that work?
So the two that are continuing, and that's a great question, because KQ, which we know is a great community-based organization, and the Christ Community Health Services site in Fraser, they are committed to continuing the work no matter what.
Wow.
That they're going to find a way to do it. Now, they also could apply, and I haven't seen, today was deadline, they may have in fact applied to gain funding to continue it as a UPP. But in any case, both KQ and the Christ Community Site in Fraser are committed to continuing the work, to providing the services, to gaining continued support in a range of ways. So those are certainly possibilities. So they may end up being the successful operator and would get this funding, but it's only a year of funding. So the expectation is during that time that that organization would have put into place opportunities to continue the work by finding other sources of funding. But it's just you need the opportunity to have a chance to try to continue and be able to demonstrate the value, so that you can bring on additional funders that would help the work to continue.
Well, and listening to you talk, and we're speaking with Dr. Renee Wilson Simmons. She's the executive director of the ACE Awareness Foundation. This sounds like an extraordinarily valuable program. And you said, I believe it's been around, 5 years now, right?
Yes, that's correct. And over the 5 years, they've conducted a total of 5,000 counseling sessions.
Well, and just saying that, it at least demonstrates to me how important this truly is. And I mean, it sounds as if you clearly see the value in it, but a lot of other folks see the value in it too, because there is such a need for connectivity with these families, in particular with this pandemic that we're going through, which has probably added even more of a burden and a need at the same time. Am I correct in saying that?
You know what, Chip? You are absolutely positively correct. You know, and I know that especially in the African American community, but not just in the African American community, but in communities, there's a stigma around issues related to mental health.
Yes.
That I'm not going to get counseling, I'm not crazy, or a fear that somehow if you seek help There's the possibility that you may lose your children. There's just all kinds of issues and stigma around it. But I will say this. Since the pandemic hit, and then you're on top of that, a range of issues around social justice and police brutality. The families are struggling, and it's the first time I've seen the barriers coming down and people saying, you know what, I need help.
Yeah.
You know what, I'm stressed. But because almost everybody feels like that. People are willing to say they need help, and they're looking for a way to get the help that they need. And because of the pandemic, the UPP is closed for in-person sessions and activities. They closed, but they pivoted to provide online programming.
Yes, ma'am.
And telehealth counseling. And they have actually, during that time, increased the number of counseling sessions because more people were seeking assistance, having a session from their car in their break because they're working and they can't get off, or doing it outside because the home doesn't really allow for the privacy they need, but looking for that and doing it. And the sites were also doing sort of a support groups online and toddler time, story time, and those got larger viewership than the in-person. Because I think part of that's anonymity. People don't know who you are,
sure,
but you have an opportunity to get some support.
Well, listen, I really am glad that you and I had a chance to chat tonight, and I will you keep us posted on what happens with this? I mean, I think this is something that folks can galvanize around organizations, community organizations, potential founders, funders, folks out there who care about what it is that you are trying to do to better the mental health of our families, thereby, of course, increasing the mental health of our community as well. Will you keep us posted, please?
You know what? I appreciate the ask, and I absolutely will. So it will be exciting to see what happens, who ends up being funded to be the operator, and we'll know that in probably mid-February. So I absolutely will let you know. I appreciate your interest.
Dr. Renee Wilson Simmons, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us on Real Talk, and I look to talk to you soon.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Well, that was a great end to a really good program, and as we're about to get out of here, I was remiss at the beginning of the show because I talk about birthdays, anniversaries, and special occasions, and I always talk about deaths, notable deaths. Well, we had one here, Jerry Johnson, as Adam plays us out. Jerry Johnson coached the men's basketball team at Lemoyne-Owen College for 4 decades. He died over the weekend, I think it was yesterday, at the age of 102. He retired from Lemoyne-Owen after spending 46 years as the men's basketball coach, had 821 wins, and was the first black basketball coach to win a Division III national title in 1975. Coach Johnson, rest in heaven. In the meantime, great show. Thank you for being with us. In the meantime, if the Lord says so, we'll be back here, same place, same seat, same time, better show. In the meantime, you guys take care of yourselves, take care of each other, uplift, motivate, support, encourage. That's what we're all about here. And between now and then, I'm Chip, and I'm out.